Hey, so today we're going to be doing our second video in the series of our approach, our mindset, and our philosophies. Today we're going to be talking about why we chose the name Open Source Self-Defense. So my name is Albert Apache. I'm the lead coordination coach with Open Source Self-Defense, Fitness, and Grappling. And basically, I'm going to tell you why we chose the name Open Source Self-Defense. So we chose the name Open Source Self-Defense for basically three main reasons. Number one was marketing. Number two was we wanted to give the impression that we're open to learning from different styles and different techniques, and that we're well-rounded. And then lastly, we also wanted to make sure that we held ourselves accountable as a business, as a facility, that very clearly we are about self-defense. So first, with the marketing, Open Source Self-Defense will abbreviate to O.s.s. And for those of you who may not be familiar with the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu community or the grappling community, there's a very common saying. It's O.s.s. And so since Open Source abbreviates to O.s.s, we felt like it would give kind of a good homey feel to people who already train. Let them know that they're welcome where we're at to come in, maybe sometimes train with our students, let them see what it's like to train at a higher level, things of that nature. And it's kind of like a saying like, yeah, cool, and so we really like the idea of kind of making sure that was part of our brand, or part of our name, part of our attitude. And then the open source. We chose open source. We borrowed that from the computer program world, primarily because, we wanted people to understand that we were open to different styles and different techniques, and taking information from other instructors, other coaches, other gyms. And we also wanted to make sure that they understood, that our clients understood that, we're giving you the program and it's based on principles and concepts, but it's really, the student has to take ownership of it and modify and personalize those techniques so that it's the most efficient for them as an individual. And so we really like the name open source. And then lastly is, the self-defense. And again, we chose that name because we wanted to make sure that we were clear about what our foundational, fundamental approach was, right? We're about self-defense. We're not a competition school. I mean, we do have people who compete, and we do encourage our students to compete, but we're not all about competition. We're not all about points. We're not all about, the sport side. We emphasize first and foremost the self-defense aspects, and then we see the sport combat side as a way to supplement our training for self-defense, right? Because it gives us a very realistic feel of what it's like going against a fully resistant opponent. And it's about as close as you can get to a real fight without, actually being in danger, that that when you tap, or when you quit, or when you've had enough, that the person that you're competing against will respect that, and there's a ref or whatever to break it up. So we really do encourage it, but it's not our central focus, right? And so we wanted to make sure that we held ourselves accountable to that, and that our clients were clear on that, and that they could hold us accountable to it, so that they can always come back and be like, well, how you were talking about, maybe if I decide to veer off, you were talking about points, and how many points, and what does that have to do with self-defense? And hopefully that'll recenter me, and recenter our other coaches, and be like, hey, this is not, we're about self-defense first. We're not about the sport aspect first, right? And because a lot of times it's not exactly the same strategies or the same tactics, right? Sometimes your strategy might be to, I'm fine, in a self-defense situation of just holding on and buying time, right? In a competition aspect, maybe that's not the best strategy, because if I'm bottom and I'm just holding on for dear life, I'm gonna end up losing, and it really doesn't benefit me. So, sometimes the strategies are not exactly the same. So we just want to make sure that we're emphasizing the self-defense first. So anyhow, that's what we do. If you like that and you feel like you connect, make sure that you like and subscribe, and you follow us on Facebook. If you're in our area, call us and see if maybe we can help you out, if this is the place to train for you. And other than that, guys, we'll see you next time. Get fit with a purpose.